A woman who once chose to get divorced has reflected on her journey and recognized the complexities involved. While the idea of divorce is often associated with freedom and empowerment, she candidly acknowledges that it can come with unforeseen challenges.
So you're thinking about going through a divorce and you're wondering if it's the right thing to do. I'm sitting in a very long Starbucks drive-through line and I want to share a few things from my own experience of going through divorce. Just for context, I was married for 12 years. I was married to a pastor. We were in full-time ministry together. We have 2 boys from that marriage, and I left him in 2019, so about 5 years ago. And here are the things that I experienced that are very common when you go through a divorce. This is not answering the question of if you should go through a divorce, but these are definitely some things to consider if you're considering going through a divorce. And I'm going to share this from the perspective of having children together. You're going to get something out of this if you don't have kids with your partner, because I'm going to share several things, but I'm going to share the kid side too. Okay, number 1, it's going to be harder than you can even imagine. Like, I remember before I had a baby, people telling me, all the old grandmas in the church telling me how painful it was. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get through it. And yeah, you do get through it. But when you're going through it for the first time, holy guacamole, it is way worse than even what they described to you. You literally think you're going to die. And so that's divorce. That's divorce. It's going to be harder than you even imagine. You know how they say, like, it feels like your heart is literally physically breaking? There is so much physical pain that comes with it, like, just a forewarning. Okay, so that's the first thing. All right, second thing, your entire life will change because you have built a life with this other person, and now that person is no longer there. And when I say change, just stop and think about all the things that you guys do together. Let's just talk holidays. What traditions have you established? Going to see Christmas lights? Do you do scavenger hunts with your kid? Do you go see his family, your family? Do you bake cookies? Like, what are those traditions that all of a sudden, when he's no longer or she's no longer there, you're going to be doing by yourself, or it's going to be too painful for you to do, so you're going to have to do a totally different tradition. Also, think about your friends groups. What friends do you have that are married? You're no longer going to be able to relate to those married couples like you did before. I promise you this, believe me when I say that people who say that they'll be there for you forever, it just changes the dynamic. And they might be there for you, but they're not going to understand, especially if they haven't gone through a divorce. My entire community changed. Entire community. I probably have 4 or 5 girlfriends that like are lifers, but my entire community, how I related, how I interacted, everything changed. Okay, there are a lot of different things, and I saved the best or the worst for last, and that is the kids. I could make a 25-minute video of all the things, but I'm going to end with this one on this. Okay, your children are going to suffer, and there's not going to be anything you can do about it. And if you're lucky, you're going to get a co-parent that will actually co-parent with you. But let me tell you, if you don't, and that co-parent alienates your kids, turns them against you, the conflict that you're going to see inside your kids is going to feel like somebody shoved a knife and is slowly twisting it in your heart. I don't know how to say it any other way. And there's nothing you can do about it. At least that's how it's going to feel. Now, I will say, in the beginning of our divorce, the first 2 years, it's exactly what my experience was like. My ex and I were in a battle that was, I'm talking hell. Everything from restraining orders to court-ordered mediation to every single week therapy. Like, it was hell. And the kids, oh my gosh, suffered. Like, there is nothing worse than watching your child suffer. I'm not kidding, there's nothing worse. I know I'm gonna get people in the comments who are like, yeah, but if you're unhappy, your happiness is most important. Or they're gonna be like, what about like abuse situations? I'm not talking about abusers. I'm talking about the people who are like, I'm just not happy. I think there's something better out there. Or he's just not a team player. He's just not doing the work. And yes, I do agree that it takes 2 people. And there isn't like one answer for all of this. Again, this is not a video of like whether you should get divorced or not, but I'm just telling you some of the things to expect. And I wish somebody would have told me this, like this, as bluntly as this, before I made the decision, because I don't know if it would have helped me. It would have probably helped me walk through more gracefully, knowing that what I was experiencing was normal. Does that make sense? I don't think it would have changed my mind, but I would have been able to look back, or, be in the situation and just know that, like, okay, yeah, this is part of it. These are the consequences. So, anyways, I don't know if that helps. Divorce absolutely sucks. It sucks so bad. All right. That's all I got. Okay, bye.
After 5 years, she's remarried and has a child, illustrating that life can continue to evolve positively after significant changes. She highlights that while divorce can be difficult, it doesn't have to define anyone's future. The conversation brings to light the important role of custody and family dynamics. Many judges prioritize the well-being of children, often awarding custody to mothers, but it's crucial for both parents to foster healthy relationships with their kids. When navigating a divorce, maintaining a positive co-parenting relationship can benefit everyone involved.
I wonder how much the return policy in our nation and in the world, are there return policies in other countries? But I wonder how much that return policy directly affects the rate of divorce in our society. I'm getting ready and I'm literally just thinking out loud, so please be kind. I haven't really thought this through, but please be kind to me in the comments. But hear me out. Okay, I'm gonna give you an analogy and then I'm gonna tie it into a divorce situation in a second, so just hear me out. Okay, so say a little kid goes into an ice cream shop with his dad, and his dad goes over the flavors of all the ice cream, and his dad's like, all right, what's your choice? And the little boy's like, I want the vanilla with sprinkles. And they go up and they buy the ice cream. And as they're walking out of the ice cream shop, the little boy looks over and he sees another little boy with ice cream with something different than what he has. And he's like, no, wait, I want that one. But like, it's ice cream, like he's already taken bites of it, like he can't return it. So he can choose to be happy with his decision and go back to all the reasons that he chose this ice cream, or he can compare, and we all know that comparison is a thief. And here's my thought on comparison. We have a tendency to compare up to what we don't have instead of comparing down to what we do. Let that sink in for a second. And so literally just thinking out loud, I wonder how much of our divorce rate in the United States is because we are so accustomed and trained to returning the things that we don't want anymore or comparing to other things. And we so quickly forget all the reasons why we chose that thing in the first place, because there's always going to be something bigger, better, and the grass is always greener, which we know that that's not the case, but the grass is always greener. I know several people right now who have either recently gone through a divorce or are in the process of going through a breakup or divorce. Obviously, I'm not going to name names. Thank you. Are you putting makeup on me? Oh, you're so good at that. Thank you. And what's interesting to me is the reasons they're going through divorce. They all have the same reasons.
Women often take on new responsibilities after a divorce, which can lead to personal growth and resilience. While some may face challenges managing finances and household duties, many discover their strength and capability to thrive independently. Understanding the contributions that partners make can lead to greater appreciation for the past, while also recognizing the potential for a fulfilling future.
It doesn't really work that way.
What do you mean? I did the thing with the hand.
Yeah, no, that's not actually real. It's not.
Far too many times I see people make the decision to break up their family on purpose without truly weighing the consequences. I'm Elizabeth, a mom to 4. I am remarried after going through a divorce 5 years ago. I have 2 boys from a previous marriage. My husband has a daughter from a previous marriage, and then we have a baby together. So I want to share in depth the consequences, a few of the consequences that come when you break up your family on purpose, because these things are not talked about enough. And I think that divorce is romanticized more than it should be. People get in divorces because they just want to be happy. Yeah, well, here's what happens when you have that as your motivation. Number 1, your kids are going to suffer
no matter how amicable the divorce is. Co-parenting is really hard. If you're going through a divorce, it probably means that you don't get along with the person that you're divorcing. Then when you go through the breakup, you have heightened feelings of anger, emotions, whatever. Pile on top of that, both of you have children together that you absolutely would mama bear up or papa bear up on to protect. And then you feel like the person that you're divorcing is your enemy. So unfortunately, what happens a lot of times is the kids get put in the middle of your war. And you're probably thinking, no, that won't happen with me. I thought the same thing, and it was devastating. And let me tell you, there is nothing worse than watching your child suffer. And there's nothing you can do about it. Or at least it feels like there's nothing you can do about it. People also don't talk about what happens when you have a 50-50 custody situation, so you're sharing custody, and you go from seeing your kids every day to not seeing them half of their life. And in the beginning, this is really jolting, especially because if you are like me, I didn't have a great relationship with their dad, and so I didn't always talk to them every day. I didn't obviously see them every day. And I was a mom who saw her kids I tucked my kids in bed every single night of their life, literally until the day that we went through our divorce. You also have to share holidays, and this is really, really hard because in the divorce, typically your community changes. And I don't know if you're like me, but holidays for me with my kids were like the most special thing ever. And then you go to not being able to see them on the holiday, it's really hard. You basically have to make brand new family traditions and rituals because every other tradition that you've been celebrating up until that point is painful. It's a painful reminder of what was or what could have been. I am not trying to sway you one way or another to go through a divorce, but what I will say is that if you are considering it, you have to consider the fallout for your children especially. And so hopefully these are some tips and behind the scenes looks at somebody who has gone through it, has come out on the other side. I have a really good co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband and his wife, and we're in a much better place. But let me tell you, it is the hardest thing because of what the kids go through and what you go through, but ultimately what your children go through. And if I can encourage you in anything, it is to keep your children and their needs at the forefront of your decision making, not your feelings, not your emotions. And it is so hard not to do because everything is emotionally charged. But the second that I put my feelings and emotions on the back burner and put my kids' needs on the front was when I saw huge changes in my children for the good, for the better, and in the relationship with their father. Okay, last thing. I heard this from a counselor that was counseling my ex-husband and I in co-parenting counseling. And she said that your children see yourselves in you and in your ex and their, father or mother. And the second that you say something negative, insinuate something negative in front of them or to them about the other parent, you basically are telling them, what they interpret is that you're telling them that they are a bad person. So I'll give you an example. Your kids get in the car, you ask them what they had for breakfast that morning, and they say, I had a Frappuccino with pancakes. And your immediate response is, can your dad feed you, healthy stuff? Gosh, that's so bad for you. What they hear, because they see themselves in their dad, what they hear, gosh, you don't know how to make healthy food choices. That's what they hear. So there's a way to get around that. And if you want more information on that strategy, just comment down below. There's a specific strategy that I'm talking about that was given to us by our counselor, but hopefully this is helpful. Divorce sucks. I'm not saying to get divorced or stay. Every situation's different, but you have to consider the fallout for your kids and for yourself.
Many women who experience a shift in lifestyle post-divorce can find new opportunities and rediscover their passions. Statistically, a significant number of divorces are initiated by women, often due to a desire for personal happiness and fulfillment. Social media can play a role in shaping these choices, and it's essential to critically assess influences in one's life. Having a supportive social circle is vital. Surrounding oneself with positive influences can lead to healthier relationships and reinforce a sense of community. Noticing shifts in one's relationship dynamics can prompt important conversations and strengthen connections.
If you are considering leaving your partner, or you think that your partner is about to leave you, listen to the words I'm about to say. Also, if you received this from somebody, you need to bookmark, save, take notes on everything I'm about to tell you. I am 5 years post-divorce and I'm remarried. I have a very good relationship with my husband. We have a new daughter together. We're a blended family. I have read over 50-something books on marriage, divorce, attachment theory, all the things, have spent literally tens of thousands of dollars in therapy. And I wish somebody would have sent me a video like this before my divorce. Sarah's comment, I made this decision and regret it 100%. My ex was a great man. I just thought I'd be happier alone after 20 years of marriage, but I was miserable and my daughter was miserable. Biggest mistake ever. First of all, Sarah, thank you for your authentic transparency. It is refreshing, but also extremely sad. I'm sorry that you've gone through that. And here's what I want to say. No matter the path you take, whether it's staying in the relationship or going through the divorce, both situations take work. Staying in a relationship takes work to have a healthy marriage. And when you decide or whatever to pull the trigger on divorce, you're going to have an entire set of new things to work on going through your divorce. And then multiply that by 10 if you have children. So if you're watching this and you think your partner is about to leave you, or you're considering leaving your partner, you have to choose your hard, because both are hard. And relationships forever are going to take work. You might think that this relationship is too much work for you and then you move on to somebody else, but surprise, you're going to have to work in that relationship too. So if you haven't even been to therapy with your partner, if you've not picked up a self-help book or listened to podcasts, I'm telling you, before you make the jump to divorce, especially with children, start with that. Start with doing some work, because when you go through a divorce, it is an entire, it takes work to leave somebody. It's not just you sign some papers. When kids are involved, it's not you just sign some papers and you move on. You then have to figure out how to co-parent with somebody that you believe is your enemy. You have to figure out how to pay all of your bills by yourself and be a solo parent. You're going to have to find a new community of friends, because the old community that you were in no longer can relate to you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people say before you divorce. I'm telling you, the dynamics change. You might have somebody who brings you to court every 6 months. We call them frequent filers. You're only going to see your kids half the time, most likely, which also means you're going to be sharing holidays. So you're going to spend some holidays probably alone without your children. You literally are going to miss out on half of your children's lives. Half. It is the most painful thing. There are no words. So I'm just saying, you have to choose your hard here. Both are extremely hard. It's hard. Even in my new relationship with my husband, it takes work. He and I have gone to, marriage conferences and read so many books together, and we have set time aside every single morning to have coffee and connect with each other. We are constantly sending each other podcasts and books, and because he's gone through a divorce, I've gone through a divorce, we have agreed we are never going to go through that pain again. But we also, some of that pain that comes with divorce is watching your children suffer, and we don't ever want our kids to experience anything remotely close to that ever again. Now, I have to say, this does not apply to all situations. There are some situations with abuse and things like that where, yes, you need to leave. I am not talking to those situations. I'm talking to the people who they just don't get along, or they don't like their spouse or whatever, and they're like, man, I could probably be happier somewhere else. One of the comments that was on this video, he said something about how it was the best decision for him, but the worst decision for his kids. And man, I was like, yes, I resonate with that. Because I can find happiness and peace and joy and all of that, but the children, it's devastating. So choose your hard. My recommendation, and take it or leave it, is to at least try the hard first before you break your family on purpose. Try going to counseling, try the books, try all of that. And send this to somebody if you're thinking about leaving your partner, because partner, what they're telling you is, let's do this hard before we have to do that hard.
Ultimately, the narrative emphasizes that rebuilding after a divorce can be a journey of growth for both partners. Men and women alike can emerge from these experiences with newfound respect for themselves and each other. This reflection invites a broader understanding of the impact of divorce and the potential for positive change in everyone's lives. And that wraps up today's episode of Manosphere Daily. If you enjoyed the content, give it a like. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video is out. Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.